He was the man who crowned himself emperor, who redrew the map of Europe, and whose name became a legend. But who was Napoleon Bonaparte, really? Was he a visionary genius, a ruthless tyrant, or something else entirely? Today, we are peeling back the layers of history to uncover the incredible story of the man who rose from obscurity to conquer a continent. Our story begins not in a lavish palace, but on the rugged island of Corsica in 1769. Born Napoleon Bonaparte to a family of minor nobility, his prospects seemed limited. Corsica had just been annexed by France, and young Napoleon was sent to a military academy on the mainland. He was an outsider short with a thick Corsican accent, often teased by his French classmates. But beneath that quiet exterior burned a fierce ambition and a brilliant strategic mind. He devoured books on history, mathematics, and military tactics, preparing for a future no one could have predicted. Then came the French Revolution. The old order was shattered, creating chaos, but also incredible opportunity. While France was in turmoil, Napoleon saw his chance. In 1793, at the Siege of Toulon, he masterfully positioned his artillery, driving out the British and Royalist forces. This victory got him noticed. At just 24, he was promoted to brigadier general. His star was on the rise. But it was his Italian campaign that truly cemented his reputation. Leading a poorly equipped and demoralized army, Napoleon used speed, surprise, and sheer force of will to achieve a series of stunning victories against the Austrians. He wasn't just a general. He was a master of propaganda. He founded newspapers to broadcast his triumphs, crafting an image of himself as an invincible hero of the Republic. He returned to Paris not just as a conqueror but as a political force. Sensing the weakness of the Directory, the government ruling France, Napoleon saw his next move. In 1799, he staged a coup d'état, a swift and nearly bloodless takeover of power. He established a new government, the consulate, with himself as first consul. In theory, he was one of three leaders. In reality, he was a dictator. He promised to restore order, stability, and glory to a nation weary of revolution, and for a time, he delivered. As ruler of France, Napoleon proved to be as brilliant a statesman as he was a general. He enacted the Napoleonic Code, a revolutionary legal framework that guaranteed property rights, religious toleration, and equality before the law for all male citizens. It was so influential that it forms the basis of the legal systems in dozens of countries to this day. He stabilized the economy, built new roads and bridges, and reformed the education system. France was becoming a modern centralized state under his firm control. But Napoleon's ambition knew no bounds. In 1804, in a spectacular ceremony at Notre Dame Cathedral, he did the unthinkable. With the Pope present, he took the crown and placed it on his own head, then crowned his wife Josephine as empress. The message was clear: his power came from himself, not from God or any other authority. The French Republic was dead. The French Empire was born. As emperor, Napoleon embarked on a series of military campaigns that would become legendary: the Napoleonic Wars. His Grande Armée, a massive and loyal fighting force, seemed unstoppable. At the Battle of Austerlitz in 1805, often called his masterpiece, he brilliantly defeated a larger Russo-Austrian army. He crushed the Prussians at Jena-Auerstedt and controlled most of Western and Central Europe. He placed his relatives and marshals on the thrones of Spain, Italy, and Holland. The continent was his chessboard. However, two major obstacles stood in his way: Britain, with its unbeatable navy, and the vast, frozen expanse of Russia. After Admiral Nelson destroyed his fleet at Trafalgar, Napoleon tried to cripple Britain economically with the Continental System, a blockade of British goods. It backfired, causing widespread resentment and smuggling across Europe. This growing resistance, especially the brutal guerrilla warfare in Spain, known as the Spanish Ulcer, began to drain his empire's resources and manpower. The turning point was 1812. Convinced he could force Tsar Alexander I to submit, Napoleon assembled the largest European army ever seen, over 500,000 men, and invaded Russia. It was a catastrophic miscalculation. The Russians refused to fight a decisive battle, instead retreating deeper and deeper into their territory, burning crops and villages as they went. Napoleon captured a deserted and burning Moscow, but with no supplies and the brutal Russian winter approaching, he was forced into a disastrous retreat. The retreat from Moscow is one of the most horrific episodes in military history. Starvation, frostbite, and relentless Cossack raids decimated the Grande Armée. Of the more than 500,000 soldiers who entered Russia, fewer than 100,000 made it out. The myth of Napoleon's invincibility was shattered. Seeing their chance, the nations of Europe, Britain, Austria, Prussia, and Russia formed a new coalition against him. Weakened and outnumbered, Napoleon fought with his old brilliance, but he couldn't stop the inevitable. In 1814, Paris was captured, and Napoleon was forced to abdicate. He was exiled to the tiny island of Elba in the Mediterranean. The world thought the Napoleonic era was over, but Napoleon had one last, astonishing act left to play. Less than a year later, he escaped from Elba, landed in France, and began a march to Paris. The soldiers sent to arrest him instead flocked to his banner, chanting, "Vive l'Empereur!" King Louis XVIII fled, and Napoleon reclaimed the throne without firing a single shot. This period is known as the 100 Days. Europe was terrified. The old coalition quickly reassembled to face him one last time. The final showdown came on June 18, 1815, near a small Belgian village called Waterloo. It was a brutal, close-fought battle. For a moment, it seemed Napoleon might just pull off another miracle. But the timely arrival of the Prussian army sealed his fate. The French army was crushed. This time, his enemies took no chances. Napoleon was exiled to St. Helena, a remote, wind-swept rock in the middle of the South Atlantic. There, he spent his final 6 years, dictating his memoirs and crafting the legend that would outlive him. He died in 1821 at the age of 51. So, what is Napoleon's legacy? Was he the savior of the revolution or its destroyer? A liberator who spread modern ideas across Europe, or a warmonger responsible for millions of deaths? The truth is, he was all of these things. He was a complex, contradictory figure whose impact on the world is undeniable. He reshaped borders, rewrote laws, and forever changed the course of modern history. His life is a testament to the power of human ambition, for better and for worse. What do you think? Was Napoleon a hero or a villain? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. See you next time.